What's up, people? It's your boy DC, back again with another one. So I promised you guys last week that I was going to be doing a Q&A video. I didn't want to do it live. I just wanted to basically be in front of the camera and talk to you guys because I'm not really a fan of the quality of live stream and all that stuff. But this is a Q&A. There's not a lot of questions, but I will. There was a few things that I wrote down that I'm going to go over just to touch on a few things. So Q&A is basically what a Q&A. You guys ask questions, I answer. And this is also, I'm just gonna throw in some things in there that I know a lot of you have questions that you wanted to ask. And here it is. So starting out, I'm gonna go over the stuff that's on Twitter. But first, let's give you guys a backdrop on, okay, so this question comes from Swedish Gamer Dad. He's one of my favorite followers, and I say one of, he's not the only one. I have a bunch of other guys. But when did you realize gaming was a thing for you? And and do you want to trade lives or send me a Z9D and call it a day? One, I can't do that. But when did I realize that gaming was a thing for me? I realized gaming was a thing for me wasn't when I first started gaming. I first started gaming on the Nintendo NES. It was a gift from my grandmother for, it wasn't even holidays or anything like that. This was back when I was living in Jamaica. And it wasn't even supposed to be ours. All I know is that me and my cousin, we opened it up and we hooked it up to the TV one day when she was gone. She came home and she just says, fine, keep it. I was gonna get you guys one, I just didn't know when, but this was for somebody else. So in a way, we kind of like hustled, I kind of hustled my way into gaming. And it was basically my cousin that led the way to that. The first game we had was Jaws, and what was it, Mario. When I first started playing Mario, you remember the first time you saw the power-up? The power-up doesn't look pleasant. It doesn't look like something that you want to touch. A power-up doesn't look like magical. Like a star now, yes, you know, when you see a star, you think of like, oh, I'm gonna be super, I'm gonna be untouchable. And that's what the star represented. When you saw the firepower flower, you were like, this could probably kill me. So I actually finished that game never touching the fire-up. I never ever touched the fire-up. And I remember one time that I was actually playing the game and I slipped because I jumped on a turtle and it made me bounce and I fell back and I fell on it. I was like, damn, I'm dead. And then I was like, oh snap, he turned red. Then I started shooting with it and I'm like, oh wow, yo, this is crazy. So the entire time, I probably went through the game maybe about 10 times, not using the fire up ever. And when I did, it was cool, man. Then I got introduced to track and field, which I still have the mat. And then, what is it, the duck hunt? I still have the gun, still have duck hunt, and I still have my original nest now, and it still works. Just not gonna take it out and hook it up. I'll wait till I'm finished with the theater room down here, and then I'm gonna like add everything into it. So, to get back to the question, even though like I was playing games like, you know, the Ninja Turtles. I forgot the name of the Ninja Turtles game on the NES. I forgot the exact name of it, but it was one where it was basically top down and you would go into the sewers. When you went into the sewers or buildings, that's when it became a side scroller. That was probably my favorite of all time Ninja Turtles game ever played. Still till this day, other than Turtles in Time, those two are my best Ninja Turtle games ever. But when did I realize gaming was a thing for me? Believe it or not, this is gonna sound shocking. It's not even during the NES era, because I played all those games. I played Contra. I beat the game without knowing the secret code. I think it's up, down, F right, left, right, A B start. I think it is. I don't remember. I never used it, so I never. Me and my cousin had to work through the game like old school pros to actually get that. And I even played, what do you call it, Castlevania. I was introduced to all of these games, you know what I'm saying? And not until when I got into the PlayStation is when I realized gaming was a thing for me. When I realized gaming was a thing for me was two games. The original Tony Hawk and what do you call it? The original Tony Hawk and can't get on the tip of my tongue. Final Fantasy and Resident Evil. Final Fantasy 7 and Resident Evil. But I started realizing that I loved gaming when I played Super Mario, Mario RPG, the 7 stars I think it was on Super Nintendo, and Chrono Trigger. That's when I knew that RPGs spoke to me more, because I like reading stories. I prefer a story-driven game than just straight button mashing. Like, those games brought challenge, but and I hated fighters because my cousin was so good at it. It was pointless playing him, so I hated fighters. I'm better now. I could still never beat him because this dude is amazing. He's even been to 1 or 2 Evo tournaments, but he lost. But that's how good he is, that he made it to that. I wouldn't even make it to those. But that's when I realized gaming was a thing for me, because I would put so many hours into Final Fantasy, so many hours into Resident Evil, and Resident Evil was the first game that I played that really scared the living bejesus out of me. And I remember when it was Resident Evil 2, when you were walking down that corridor, the hallway, once you got into the police building, I think it was, and that liquor. Like, I kid you not, the moment that the liquor came out of nowhere and he dropped down, I did the most impossible thing ever in the history of human beings. I threw the controller, powered off the system in mid-air, turned off the TV, and left the room in a matter of 2 seconds. Didn't save or anything. Like, it scared the living crap out of me. And those are just some of the moments. And why Tony Hawk is because that's when I got into skateboarding, like, religiously. Like, it's a part of my life. I really wish that I would have kept on going with it to be a pro. I remember back when I was about 17 years old, I got my first sponsorship at a place in Manhattan called Blades and Boards. And I also got flowed by my music teacher. He started a skateboard company called N-Star Skateboards. And I made pro on that. And yeah, I just wish I would have moved on with that. But as a kid, we moved around a lot. So I moved into places that I couldn't really skate or find skate spots. And I didn't have a car. So it became like distant to me. I still skate today. But that's the pinnacle of just Tony Hawk giving me that ammunition to learn tricks. Like, I was crazy, man. I literally like recorded my gameplays off VHS, off Tony Hawk, and played it back in slow motion to learn how to do vario flip or 180 shove it, stuff like that. Like, I'm crazy when it comes to stuff like that. I study things deeply when I'm passionate about it. Then when Final Fantasy 7 came, Final Fantasy 7 gave me a touching story. You know, because people say that Chrono Trigger had a great story. Chrono Trigger had a great story, but it wasn't one that literally like made you like feel bad for people that died. You know what I'm saying? Like Cloud's story, or just Sephiroth as a villain. His story background was so dramatic. You know, to think that you're, you know, these things, you know, a clone, the world belongs to you. Just all those things, like what he fought for. He was confused, and the fact that Cloud was, you know, I don't even want to get into the story, but Final Fantasy 7, Tony Hawk, and Resident Evil basically was like the pinnacle. Then it moved on to Dreamcast, playing Ready to Rumble, and you know, playing Mario Kart, or the first time seeing Super Mario 64. That was like game changer to me for the first time, the 3D realm of it, you know. But I started 2D gaming like for like in the beginning. Like, I started gaming at around 5 years old. I was born in '83, so yeah, I started gaming around 5 years old, and from that point on, I had everything from Game Gear to Neo Geo, you name it. Like, I went in, man, and that's when I realized gaming was a thing for me. So it's a dragged on one, but that's when I realized it was a thing for me. This question comes from Word Out. When will you debate Zaire, aka Next Gen 720? That clash will be epic. My money is on you. Just keep it debating and gaming. And yeah, if you guys remember a while ago, I made a video basically calling these dudes out that I wanted to do a debate. And something that my wife said to me that kind of like drew me back to home. If you guys remember watching my videos from a long time ago, I got a nickname called the Yellow Hulk. And I literally would like go crazy. Like it went to the point that I showed up to people's houses when I asked for their address, and they thought that I was too punk enough to do that. I've even bought airplane tickets back when I was working at Spirit to fly out to Atlanta to fight somebody when I lived in Florida. And it's not a side of me that, you know, I don't want my kids to ever see, or, you know, my wife, and I feel I'm a stand-up person, so I don't want to fall back to those things. So I'm not sure if I'll ever do that debate, because I know how I am. I have a very short temper. So I want to be true to the fans, and I actually did a video on this today, basically just nipping it all in the bud. But I can't go into a room with a person that, you know, they yell, because that just feeds my anger, and I don't want to fall back in that route of what I used to be. And again, like, there's videos of me like literally finding people's address. Like, I remember there was a dude, I'm not going to say his name, he said something about my kids, and I found his address, I found his name, I found out who his mom was, stuff like that. Like it became like a bad thing, and that's not a side of me that I ever want to go back to. So will I ever do that debate? No, probably not. Maybe if there was a mediator, and even then, I just don't want to, you know, like I'll just do a video and just like end it like all right there. What's it called? How success fail of the Vega, or what is it? The Ryzen can affect the creation of the next gen consoles. Well, I don't know that answer, to be completely honest. That comes from Vishan. What's that? I'm sorry, dude. I apologize for destroying your name. Vishal? Tahid? Yeah. I'm not too sure on that. Maybe next time when I do some, I'll do some research on it and probably do a video on it. But I don't really follow AMD like that. I used to be an AMD fanboy, like even with like Radeon graphics cards, until they just killed me with the what is it? The patches, not having the right updates, downloading patches every minute. But they do have the better crossfire. I will say that, and I will always say that. And AMD is just strictly for gaming. Plus, I do a lot of video editing, and AMD has yet to prove to me that they can do as good a job of Intel when it comes to like Vegas and just video rendering in general. Maybe somebody can get back to me on that one, because I'm not too knowledgeable in that area, but I'll make sure I do a video on that next time. Also, this one comes from, damn dude, I'm gonna try to say your name without destroying it. Shayesta Maha. He's a follower. He's been following me for a while. Do I prefer digital or disc, and why? I prefer disc. The only time I prefer digital is when it's handheld, because I do travel a lot and I don't want to carry a bunch of cartridges with me, but I still have a habit of buying those games anyways. And I carry around a case with me. Like in my work bag, I have like a PlayStation Vita case with at least 30 games. I don't know why I have 30 games, because I'm never gonna get to those while I'm on the road or when I'm traveling. I'm more of like I jump around from different game to different game. Like even though like people say like, if a game is great, why would you put it down? I just have like some sort of like OCD thing that I just keep hopping from game to game to continue with the stories and all that. But I do prefer physical games, because physical games come with, stuff like that. I prefer statues, collector's editions. For instance, I'm getting the Horizon Zero Dawn collector's edition, because that is their first game. Like I wanted to get the collector's edition for Resident Evil 7, but GameStop did me dirty. So, F you GameStop for that one. They canceled my pre-order, but I prefer physical games. The reason why I prefer physical games is because it's something tangible. If I'm spending $60 on something, I want to be able to hold it in my hand. You know what I'm saying? And I know you still have the game. The game is where the experience is. But for me, I prefer the physical copy of something. And I'm more of a collector. The fact that I still have my Dreamcast, my ColecoVision, my Virtual Boy, my Game Gear that's still fully functional, my Dreamcast cartridges, the memory cards. I'm a hoarder in a way. Like, I still have the boxes for my PC. Like, I literally have a closet for that stuff. So maybe that's one of my reasons. And I don't like to trade in stuff. I don't like to sell back things. I basically feel that if I bought it, it's something that stays along with me on the journey as I get older. Something that I could pass down to my kids. Like, I still have all my PlayStation 1 games. I still have all my Game Boy Color, classic Game Boy games, all of that stuff. You know, I still have about 60% of my SNES and NES games. Like, so I'm a physical hoarder in a way, and it's a bad habit because when we move, I literally have like 6 large boxes, like about that high, that wide, that's filled with game stuff. It's pretty sad. Do you think the future of consoles will eventually drop disc and either be fully digital or something, or some sort of rental services? I do see that happening. I do see gaming going that way. That's also from the same person. I'm not going to try to say his name again. I apologize. But I do see that happening because you got to remember that gaming is a business, and the way that developers look at games is the physical copies, the production, the distributor, the money mailing out, buying the boxes, buying the plastic, all of that stuff. So going digital is going to be almost like 80% revenue back for the company. So there's more revenue on that instead of selling a physical disc. And I know when you buy things in bulk, they come at like a penny cheaper or whatever it is when you buy in mass production. So that I understand, but I do see that happening. I mean, they're already trying it now. Steam is the biggest, the largest in the world when it comes to digital games, and it continues to thrive. It destroys whatever consoles do. It continues to thrive with people getting on there, all of that stuff. So the success of Steam versus, physical copies, eventually later down the line, I do see that happening as like a main thing. It's gonna suck, but I do hope that they still do collector's editions, kind of like what they did with Halo 5, Halo Guardians, the 5, where they basically, by the way, yes, I do have that, got that collector's edition. It's still in the box. I don't really have anywhere to put it. I'm actually getting a shelf over on this side of where I have the TV and my PlayStation, my vanilla PlayStation, where I can play games down here, where I can basically put more statues up. So I do see that happening. A rental service, they're already doing it now because you're renting games from PlayStation Now, and and Sony is going ham with that. It's even on Samsung TVs. It's on Blu-ray players. It's on, it's ending up everywhere. So yeah, I do see that happening. And Sony is actually seeing return on investment with opening the servers for PlayStation Now. Okay. What games do you, this comes from Chris at Ring of Sport. What games do you see being a sleeper hit this year, and what games are you most interested that's coming out for this year? For me, it's Injustice. For me, the sleeper hit is Neo, because a lot of people didn't think that Neo was going to be like fantastic. You can ask like my friends and like anybody that follows me on PlayStation, that game is always running on my PlayStation. Like, I have so many other games to go and get. And I also have a bad habit. Like, every PlayStation launch game, if the game that's released, I own it. Like, I have Yakuza 0 and I'd probably put maybe 5 hours into it, maybe. I have Tales of Berseria. I have Kingdom Hearts 2.8. You know what I'm saying? It's bad. And I want to get back to those games. But Neo is a major sleeper hit that everybody, even if you can't buy the physical copy, get the digital copy. Definitely get down on that. My most anticipated game, there's actually 2. Horizon Zero Dawn is not one of my most anticipated games. It is a game I'm looking forward to play, but if you've been following, I'm a big JRPG guy. So my most anticipated game that I want to play is Persona 5, and I want to find out what this new add-on for Final Fantasy 15 is going to add to the story, That's what I'm mostly anticipated on waiting for. There's a few other games that's coming out. Like I heard there's Toukiden 2 that's coming out that I'm anticipating. Whatever Monster Hunter game comes out with the Switch. But I'm more into JRPG games. I am getting the collector's edition of Horizon Zero Dawn, so that is my most anticipated games that I'm waiting for. Then this comes, will the Scorpio be the last console, and what are your favorite franchises and console of all time? No, I don't think the Xbox Scorpio will be the last console that ever comes out for PlayStation, for Xbox. If you've been following Phil Spencer, he really wants to change the way the people see the Xbox brand. From the launch of the actual Xbox itself, Phil Spencer wasn't really happy with the way the system was, because that's Don Matrick's system. Phil Spencer is actually a gamer, so he wants to go back to just games, and also not just necessarily that, but PlayStation 4 is labeled as the best gaming genre system of this generation. Like, this thing is strictly just games. When you turn on the PlayStation, it's strictly just games. Like, there's features like for viewing, for like Netflix, all that stuff, but it's hidden very deep. When you launch the interface, it's just games. Now when you go to the Xbox, the main hub, you get confused. You're like, where are my games at? If you're brand new to it. If you're not, you know where everything is at. But I don't think it's their last console, because when PlayStation 5 drops, and we've known that Mark Cerny has hinted, and he's told me personally, that there is going to be an Xbox 5, and that is a thing, because PlayStation is still doing generations. Remember, Japanese people are very stubborn. Now, even though Phil Spencer says they're breaking generations, or I think Microsoft said something like that, I don't know exactly who said that, but they're not going to break generations. I mean, they're not going to continue going generations, but they will be doing more iterations or just new consoles. Because think about it, the way the Scorpio is, it could be a next-gen system, to be completely honest with you guys, being that I'm being really open with you all. The fact that they're going x86 is just the same architecture around whatever PC does, whatever the Xbox and PlayStation. That's why it's so easy, and how we're getting so many different ports, all that other stuff. It's just going to be like a pre-built PC every time they launch something. So they can keep on naming it Xbox this, Xbox One that, whatever they want to call it. It's just going to be more iterations to it, more graphical power to it. And even though PlayStation is still doing, generations, that's going to be their things for generations. So what was the question? My favorite gaming franchise. My favorite gaming franchise of all times is the Final Fantasy franchise and Dragon Quest franchise.
Final Fantasy?
Yeah, exactly. Final Fantasy. That is my my top genres of all time franchise. Also, my console of all time. That's really hard, because I love the GameCube, because the GameCube gave me a lot of games that I still remember. As a matter of fact, I remember the GameCube so well is because when the GameCube came around, I was already starting out to be a general store manager for GameStop. And that's when I basically started meeting a gaming community, and that's when I started doing competitive gaming, like Smash Bros. Competitively, Phantasy Star Onlines for the GameCube, Star Fox Adventure, all of those amazing games, Luigi's Mansion, all of those games, they meant a lot to me growing up, and I had a strong fan base, a strong community around me, and and going to school, let's just say that the GameCube was my thing. So it's hard to say. It's between that and the PlayStation 2, but I'm leaning more towards the GameCube. Last question, because we're running out of time. I'll do a Q&A part 2. In your opinion, what is Sony's plan for the Scorpio at launch? There could be a number of things. For instance, boost mode is a way, even though it's nothing crazy, the way Sony is marketing boost mode, it's something new to add towards the console. And even though the Xbox One S already does this by, you know, just letting games that's uncapped, FPSs that's unlocked, they're doing that. They were already doing that, but because they didn't announce it like it's some sort of a feature, people already, like fans that didn't want a score or didn't want a PS4 Pro, are now buying one because of that. So, and then we found out from Richard Ledbetter that there is more to the PlayStation 4 Pro than what boost mode does. We're still not getting the second GPU because from what he said, the second GPU could break games for backwards compatibility. And I'm pretty sure Sony's smart enough to figure out a way to do that. But what I think is that Sony's gonna just continue to release games, do a lot of marketing, just keep releasing a lot of exclusives to go along with that. So that's all the questions. There's more, and I'm running out of time. So one of the last things I want to touch on, actually, you know what? I'll save that for part 2 of Q&A. So thank you guys for joining me for my first Q&A. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Stay tuned for part 2. And I'll announce it on Twitter when I do it. And thanks, man. You guys are pretty awesome. And thank you for all of my Twitter followers. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, jump over on Twitter at DarkCloud25. And also follow me on, Facebook, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks, man.